Welcome back to Missouri Mayhem, Mystery and Murder. Happy Halloween week. I'm Megan.
And I'm Mindy. We are so excited to continue our week of Halloween-inspired mystery and mayhem episodes. We really think you're going to love today's episode.
I know. I think you guys are going to love it. Today's topic will probably be interesting, well, I think to all our listeners, but those of you who are around our age, I think you'll really find this entertaining.
You mean like 20?
Like our 20s? Age, you mean like 20 to 25?
Yeah, totally.
Yes. So we are going to be heading today into the shadows of the West Bottoms in Kansas City. And the West Bottoms, some of you may or may not know, but is home to some of the oldest, scariest, and most successful haunted houses in the entire, not just Missouri state, but in the entire country.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
And may sound like I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm not.
They really are.
They really are that great. So every September and October, thousands of thrill seekers from Kansas City, from all over, flock to these massive century-old warehouses. And they really are centuries old, believe it or not, these warehouses that are down there. We're talking about like 100-year-old buildings.
Okay.
And if you ever have heard, like, I know when we were in our 20s to when we actually were 20 or 25. And I remember hearing on the radio, like the advertisements for haunted houses down in the West Bottoms, and they'd be like right off the 12th Street Bridge.
Yes, always.
Yeah, they'd be like, it's right below the 12th Street Bridge. So that's where all these old warehouses are, and people come for scares, ghosts, ghouls, and some of the ones that probably stand out to you would be the Edge of Hell.
Yes.
The Beast. And the Macabre Cinema.
Never heard of that one.
Me either. So, and of course, those are not the only three. We'll be talking about several others. But side note, that word, macabre, isn't that a weird word?
Macabre. Yeah.
And
Macabre Cinema.
It's MACABRE. And of course, it looks like it should be
Macabre.
The Macabre Cinema. And I was pretty sure that wasn't how it was pronounced. It is, of course, macabre. But I'm like, what does that word really mean?
Okay.
And this is a side note totally, but the Google definition of macabre is, first of all, it's an adjective, descriptive word. It means disturbing and horrifying because of involvement with or depiction of death and or injury.
Well, no wonder we've never heard of that word before.
So macabre is anything that's
cinema.
Yes. Anything weird, disturbing, and involves death or injury. So
that actually would be a really good podcast name. Macabre, you know?
Oh, with our mayhem and our mystery and Megan and Mindy in Missouri.
But no one would know what it is.
See, we're defining it right now.
That's right.
But yeah, I think that's a cool haunted house name.
That is.
But back to the West Bottoms, what most people don't know is that these haunted houses down there didn't just bring fear and excitement around Halloween. These haunted houses help bring life back to one of Kansas City's most abandoned and forgotten neighborhoods, the West Bottoms.
What else are they going to do with them?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Perfect thing.
It ends up just working out really well. So, I mean, how much of the history of the West Bottoms do you know?
I know zero, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I was when I started looking to this as something we could cover, especially for Halloween week. I'm like, okay, the West Bottoms, like I knew they're there. I knew that's where haunted houses are. But other than that, not too much. So
no, I don't know really anything about them. So teach me.
I will. And I taught myself. And hopefully, I mean, there may be people out there that are listening, our listeners that are like West Bottom experts, but if not, so the West Bottoms actually started off being known as the French Bottoms. And the reason this was called the French Bottoms was because this was actually a trading area. And it was kind of right at what they call the confluence or kind of at the junction of the...
Sounds like a strip club. French Bottoms. It does. I'm sorry, but it does.
Come watch the ladies tonight at the French Bottoms.
Where there are, never mind.
We can always figure out how to bring brothels, pimps into our
anytime.
So it was not the French Bottoms. The French Bottoms actually, so the Missouri and Kansas River kind of meet in that area or come together there. And this became way back in the 1800s, an industrial hub where actually Kansan Native Americans and French fur trappers or trappers would meet in the French Bottoms in Kansas City.
Okay.
And remember, Independence in our area is also the kickoff of the Santa Fe and the Oregon Trails.
Okay.
And so this was a hub where people would go and they would get all their things before they headed off west.
Very cool.
Isn't that cool?
They just buy all their supplies there and then move on.
Or trade with fur
Okay.
trappers and Native Americans. And so it really
Okay.
was kind of a cool place down in there. And then, of course, the arrival of railroads in the 1860s, it then became a hub of more than just local trading. Because of the railroads, it was able to bring in things like livestock, and they actually created in 1871 the Kansas City Livestock Exchange and Stockyards
Okay. So
in
that's when
the
it.
West Bottoms.
Okay.
So that's really when I would say it kind of became what it was for quite some time with the stockyards and the livestock. So we're going to find out too, in the early 1900s, there were two devastating floods, one in 1903, and then one especially about 50 years later in 1951 that really crippled the West Bottoms. It destroyed a lot of the buildings, the land.
You can see that when you look on that. When you look at it, you can tell that it has had
Yes.
water corrosive damage.
Yes. It's kind of, I found several pictures of like the West Bottoms before and after the flooding.
Mhm.
And, when you see pictures like that, it's always interesting. And
Well, that's why they became nothing, because nobody wanted to move in them.
right.
They get flooded out.
Flooded, they're abandoned. And a lot of these buildings, you couldn't put like businesses in them anymore. It would take a lot of renovation. And so by the 1950s, and then within the 60s and 70s, it really started declining. And we're going to talk about how it's come out of that now and kind of what's down there now, in
Mhm.
addition to haunted houses. But that's kind of in terms of where the West Bottoms came from.
Okay.
So French Bottoms to a railroad hub. Our dad, and I was talking to Terry about it, his dad also, they remember going down to the livestock exchange in the West Bottoms with their
Really?
dads to take livestock down
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
to trade or to take grain
Mhm.
or things down there. So it was a very important hub.
You think it just died out because of the flooding?
I think with the natural progression of, I think, livestock
Yeah.
and stockyards. I know the St. Joe one opened too. I don't know how that affected the Kansas City one. I think it eventually became like the stockyard then in St. Joe. But I think between the floods, you think in the 1920s, wasn't that the Great Depression?
Yes,
Those
yes.
kinds of things.
And they'd had no money to really repair or anything.
Right. One thing though, it did become too back in the early 1900s. It also became not just an industrial center, but it was also considered like an immigrant center. They had a lot of immigrants living in that area that were working
Okay.
in these buildings, or they were tenants in some of the buildings or boarding houses, which gave it kind of this neat cultural feel. So as you can tell, the West Bottoms has had a interesting kind of history. It's been this, and then it's been that.
Funny, because I think its most successful thing has been the haunted houses.
I know, and we're going to kind of find that out. And to think, I guarantee those trappers and Native
I had
Americans
no
never
idea.
like, decades from now, I bet there'll be some cool haunted houses.
Yeah, these would make some great haunted houses later.
Yeah, yeah. So here are some other challenges they had. A lot of people called the West Bottoms Hell's Half Acre, which is maybe where they got the Edge of Hell name.
Maybe.
But the West Bottoms had developed for a while in the early 1900s. Again, we bring in brothels, but they had a reputation. It had a reputation of being a rough and red light district, and it had lots of saloons, gambling dens.
But if you're thinking about it, people come there to trade.
Yes.
They're going to do a lot of stuff in that area. And I'm sorry, but their wives are probably nowhere to be found. And they're like, oh, I'm going to the West Bottoms today.
And that's, yeah. And if their wives find out, that's bad news. You were where? You were in Hell's Half Acre?
Right,
Where?
right.
So, yeah, it sounds like, I think that's a great point to bring up. So they're going to have things to entertain these travelers.
Yeah.
They're going to have saloons where they can drink. And that, of course, where it can help the economy there, it can also bring in some tough clientele.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the flooding. Again, in 1951, that flood caused over $1 billion in damages to the West Bottoms, and it just couldn't come back from that, really. And again, the decline of the railroads. And then when it wasn't a hub and they weren't bringing goods through there regularly, it just kind of petered out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what do you do with all these abandoned and dilapidated buildings? Well, around the 1970s, so about the time we were born,
Mhm.
enters a family that had a crazy idea and nobody believed they could make it happen, but they thought we might be able to take these buildings and fill them with fear. Not love,
Fear.
not happiness, fear.
Not joy, but fear.
And this family was the owner of a company called Full Moon Productions. Have you ever heard of that company?
Never.
I hadn't either. And when you Google Full Moon Productions,
Nothing comes up.
you don't get anything bad, you might think, with Full Moon Productions.
Oh, right.
You never know when you Google things. No, what I found was Full Moon Productions. There's about 20 different companies that like the words full moon. So it's like Full Moon Company,
Okay.
Full Moon. But I finally found them. And here's how they describe themselves on their website. They have a pretty good website. It said, Full Moon Productions is one of the country's leading haunted house and entertainment development companies. Full Moon has been a pioneer in haunted house production since its inception in 1975. With over 30 years of experience in entertainment and theater production, Full Moon continues to reinvent what a haunted house should be. Every year, the houses add new scenes, change scenes, and implement a tremendous amount of behind-the-scenes technology to ensure that every visitor receives a unique and incredible sensory experience.
Well, they sure did.
Yeah.
They got all of that for us.
I know.
I mean,
talk about the ultimate sensory experiment.
how old were you when you went to your first haunted house down there?
I think I was 12.
Really?
Yes, I was in middle school. I know that.
Mhm.
And I think I went with a church group.
A church group? That's what you guys did.
How about you?
I was in high school. I went, I think my senior year was the first time I went. And I'm just going to tell you the person that I went with, Regina.
Regina.
Somebody tried to scare her and she punched them in the face and we got kicked out of the edge of hell.
That is the first surefire way they tell you, you touch any of us, you
Yep.
are out of here.
Yep.
But like we talked earlier, they couldn't touch you, which made you feel better.
Yes. Or I would never have even went in those if I thought they could touch me.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, as we get further into this, there'll be some opportunities for us to tell some of our experiences on haunted houses. So in 1975, in the River Market area, they opened the Edge of Hell. So not down in the West Bottoms. They originally opened Edge of Hell in the River Market area, which I thought was interesting.
Yes, I could see some of those buildings being the Edge of Hell.
Good for that. And it was considered Kansas City's first major haunted house attraction. Again, this is 1975. And I bet they never dreamed, like 30 years later, here we'd be. Here, two girls in their closet.
In the closet.
Would be talking about their company and how they brought haunted houses to Kansas City. And it's not just any house. This haunted house was 5 stories of pure terror. And they love to advertise the Edge of Hell as you start in heaven, you wander through purgatory, and you descend straight to hell.
Oh my God. And you pay for it.
And you're paying a lot for it, which we'll talk about that too. So the founder's daughter, who is today the current VP, her name is Amber Arnett Bequeath. And she today...
What's her name?
Amber Arnett Bequeath. I know. It looks, I don't know. Amber Arnett Bequeath. She is the founder's daughter, and she is known as, listen to this, she is known as the Queen of Haunts.
Oh my God.
And when she was only like 5 years old when her family started opening these haunted houses. And since when she was 5, she started playing dead in coffins.
Oh my goodness gracious. What's her name?
Amber.
Oh, Amber, you're going to be the dead girl tonight.
You're 5 years old, getting this coffin, and she loved it. She thought it was awesome and hilarious. But can you imagine?
Just laying there.
Oh my gosh. Or I don't remember when I went to any of these or through the Edge of Hell, remember seeing like a little girl, but it would have freaked me out.
Yeah.
Seeing a little girl in there because I'd have been thinking, isn't she scared to death?
Literally.
Literally. Now, their first location in the River Market was shut down in 1987. So it only lasted there for about 12 years. And I'm not sure why it got shut down. But they're like, what are we going to do? We've got to figure out a place to go. And they said, you know what, let's take a chance on the West Bottoms. It's kind of been forgotten. It's kind of rough, and everybody said, the West Bottoms? There's no way. You're just asking
Those
for
are
it.
just gone and forgotten. Nobody does West Bottoms anymore.
No. But to them, they saw these massive historic warehouses and they're like, these are the perfect bones for horror. And not only
bones,
perfect bones as in a building, bones for horror, but they were cheap.
The buildings were cheap.
They're like, Amber said, we couldn't afford to build or create like a scary building facade. To do that would cost millions of dollars. But they said these buildings themselves possess the creativity we needed.
Just in and of themselves.
Yes, with the history, looking abandoned, broken windows.
Perfect. It still is.
It's perfect. And what a way to create something amazing out of something, desolate like that. So when Full Moon Productions moved into the West Bottoms, the city around there in that area had basically been abandoned. And there were no street sweepers or working sewers. Like, it was a rough area. And the family, like, literally had to take a lot of this cleanup into their own hands.
Okay, so they just had a building.
They had a building, but they're like, we've got to clean up some of this inappropriate graffiti and things that, obviously haunted houses, we could have some graffiti, but we got to clean some of that up. They organized neighborhood watch patrols to make sure people felt safe. And they even worked with the city to restore the historic 12th Street Bridge.
Okay, so the 12th Street Bridge, if you're standing in line for the edge of hell, is it the one right up above you as you're looking? That's
correct.
It right there?
Yes, that you could hear the traffic always. And kind of made for a neat.
It really was a cool area.
It was, because it kind of felt sketchy.
It did.
But in a good scare.
So the whole time you're in line, you felt
like, should we be here?
Like you were it was part of the whole haunting.
Yes. Very much the ambiance they created.
Should we be here? That was a good way to put it.
Yes. Should we be here? And Amber said if it wasn't for the haunted attractions in the West Bottoms, we probably wouldn't be having the resurgence we are like now. Like now the West Bottoms are really coming alive. And, the last couple of years I've been working like in the Kansas City area and I've seen that they're actually getting some restaurants, some antique stores. Yes.
Do you think that's a risk or you think?
I do think anytime you're putting businesses in an area that was once
desolate.
That's your dog. Jersey.
Oh my gosh.
Penny's making her man.
Oh my God.
Okay, no fighting in the West Bottoms. Get back.
Are they getting ready to get into a dog fight?
No. Penny wants to give her kisses and Jersey just wants to sleep. Okay, leave her alone. Okay. I'm sorry, everyone. Okay, now the West Bottoms. Yeah, I think that is risky though. Anytime you go to put businesses in an area that's failed at one time, I think it could be risky.
Yeah.
But I every weekend, and it's not just that the haunted houses have brought to life like during Halloween time. They've kept the whole area alive like year round.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that too. But back to the haunted houses, by the late 1980s and into the 90s, again, this is when we would have been going, into the 90s, the haunted house scene in Kansas City literally exploded. So the Edge of Hell went in down there, and then anybody who thought haunted houses were a good idea are like, yeah, me too. I want it.
So they were like, I'm going to grab that building and make me a haunted house.
Yes.
It worked for them.
Yes. At one time, and I'm not sure exactly what year this was, but at one time there were as many as 14 haunted houses downtown in Kansas City at one point.
Like
and
in the 80s and 90s?
Yes. In the 80s and 90s. And the city even earned the nickname, Kansas City earned the nickname, the haunted house capital of the world.
Wow.
I know. And I didn't know that either. So, 14 different haunted houses. And
so you could just haunted house hop all night.
Yes, all night long if you wanted. Now, there are 3 still operating.
Only 3 of the 14?
Yes. And this same family, the Full Moon Productions, they own all 3 of these. Okay. And it's the Edge of Hell, which was established in 1975. And the Edge of Hell, again, is the oldest continuously running commercial haunted attraction in the U.S. and is known for its 5-story spiral slide.
I remember going down that slide and feeling like like I was going to hit the person in front of me or the person behind me was going to
Hit you.
hit me. Yeah.
Yes. So the Edge of Hell, like we talked earlier, I think the Edge of Hell is the only haunted house I ever went to down there.
I think I went to a couple.
I thought I might have went to the Catacombs, which was down there at one time too, but I think I just went to the Edge of Hell. But yes, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the characteristics of some of these, like Rat Man, Chainsaw Man. So, anyways, we'll get to that. So, Edge of Hell is still operating. The Beast Haunted House is still operating. It joined the West Bottoms in '91. It's considered an immersive, multi-story experience that immerses guests in frightening historical scenarios. Specifically, like I think that one has like the Wolfman, some things like that too.
That would be fun.
That would be. And then the Macabre, not Macabre, the Macabre Cinema Haunted House is also down there. And it is housed in a former actual 1930s movie theater down there. And it puts visitors inside classic horror movies and actually has memorabilia from real horror movies in there.
Well, that's a great idea.
I know. I thought that would be fun.
Yeah.
Now, here are some of the past haunted houses. So Catacombs, these are not there any longer. Again, earlier haunted house in the West Bottoms area. It opened, I think, in the 90s, but sadly, after a death at the Catacombs in 2005, and we'll talk about that more in a second, it shut down. So, and then there's the Chambers of Edgar Allan Poe, which I feel like I heard on commercials, maybe. But this was a special event haunt that operated in the former Catacombs building from 07 to 14. 2007 to 14. There was one called The Devil's Dark Side, Dr. Deadly's Haunted Hospital,
Ooh,
Fool Killer's Haunted Mansion. And this was a haunted house operated by a local theater and folk music collective. And it ran in the early 1970s.
Wow.
Fool Killer's Haunted Mansion. There was a haunted hotel. Now, I do remember this one, Main Street Morgue.
I do remember that.
Yes. And this was in operation from the 70s also to 2005 and then moved to the same building that the Macabre Cinema now is in. But it's not open anymore either. And then there was one called the Prison Macabre. And again, only a few have survived: the Edge of Hell, the Beast, and the Macabre Cinema.
And they're all owned by the same family.
Those three are.
Okay. And does the little girl still play dead?
Yes. The little girl is now the VP of Full Moon Productions, Amber.
Yes.
The daughter is now vice president of that company and helps do all the things now.
Okay.
So what's cool, though, is each of these haunted houses have their own, like, what they called on the website, flavor of fear.
Okay.
That was kind of fun. So let me give you a little bit more deeper descriptions of the three that are still running. So, listeners, if you're out there and you're like, I might want to go this week, then here are your options.
Here you go.
Let's start with the Beast. It was voted the best haunted attraction in the nation.
In the nation.
And you step into a nightmarish, again, this is from their website, a nightmarish time warp where history's darkest horrors come alive. Voodoo curses, witch trials, and the chilling shadow of Jack the Ripper await in this multi-story beast of terror. Massive animatronics and mind-bending illusions unleash a relentless nightmare designed to shock, disturb, and leave even the bravest breathless.
Ooh, okay.
That's kind of fun, though. Witch trials?
Yeah. Now, if you have like tendencies to have seizures or something like this, should you not go in?
Honestly, if you have a seizure disorder, they recommend you don't go in.
You stay out. Yeah.
No, I think, one, because of the stimulation to the brain just in general of being scared and things, but I'm guessing too the lights.
The flashing lights.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
It's a good question. Okay, the Edge of Hell, 5-story descent into madness. Where it all began. Edge of Hell is the oldest, again, continuously running haunted house in the U.S. And it's going on 51 years. It says, dare to descend through pitch black caves, snake pits, rat-infested crypts, culminating in a heart-stopping 5-story plunge.
Snake pits?
Yeah, no thank you. No thank you. And then the Macabre Cinema takes you through a haunted 1930s movie theater, complete with props from real horror films. Once abandoned theater, now a playground of horror icons. step onto sets haunted by horror movie greats stalking their new victims.
Ooh.
Haunt goers on this multi-floor nightmare that blurs the lines of what you thought about being in the horror show. Ooh.
Okay.
And then the fan favorite attraction for scary movie enthusiasts, of course, if you're into scary movies, it sounds like that would be right up your alley. Now, from what I can tell, the Beast and the Macabre Cinema are considered open format haunted houses. And they're considered pioneers of that, which means,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's no fixed path and there's no one like guiding you through it.
You just have to figure your way out?
Yes. Tell me.
Oh my gosh. I would get so stuck somewhere.
No, I just end up in a corner, balled up, saying,
I'd just be like, somebody help me,
please. So you're trapped in the dark.
Find your own way out?
No.
What?
No. Yeah. So I have not been to either one of those, and I'm not for sure that's exactly how they work, but based on what I read, they're considered kind of pioneers of this open format.
Pioneers of a panic attack.
Pioneers of me peeing my pants.
Oh my gosh.
Now, how much do you think it was? Do you remember back when we went, how much it was?
So like early 90s,
to get into a house?
I want to say it was maybe $10.
I want to think it was like 10, maybe 20. Like I can remember like mom and dad sending me like with a $20 bill. Or like,
oh yeah, $20 bill would get you all night long, whatever you wanted.
Like I feel like the church group was like, you need $20. Now that may have been food and everything. Well, you know how much it costs today to go to one haunted house?
How much?
How much do you think?
Oh gosh, $30.
Okay, you're close. $37
for one person
for one haunted house, one person. But if you want to go to two, you can get two haunted houses for $60.
So if you want to bring a date, you can go to two haunted houses for $120.
Correct. I mean, and that's a fun night of entertainment.
That is.
Especially if you're really into
if you like that stuff.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, it's not all fun, fake blood when it comes to the history of the haunted houses. There are a couple real life tragedies.
Oh, okay.
So although this is one of our mystery episodes and a little bit of mayhem and really not one of our what we would call murder episodes, we do have a couple things to talk about.
Well, okay.
So in 1978, after the haunted house that was called Prison Macabre had closed for the Halloween season, so it was open and it shut for the off season, a man by the name of Larry Yates, he was the 40-year-old uncle of one of the people that owned Prison Macabre. And during the off season, he would live in the building. First of all, tell me that wouldn't be spooky as hell. To live in the off season in a haunted house.
I mean, the off season is like 10 months of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, what's Halloween season considered to be like? Middle of September to the end of October?
Or at the max, all September, all October?
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, you're talking about 10 months, which great idea. You could live in, but what do you do I guess if you have wonder if they have like a living quarter?
I guess you just crawl in that casket.
That's your bed.
That's your bed.
Well, poor Larry. So he's living in this haunted house. And on the morning of November 28th, 1978, his body was discovered. And this is some mayhem. It was found stuffed in a pit or a hole at the foot of a stairwell that led to like a sub-basement, according to the Kansas City Star. And it looked like he'd been tied up and killed. I honestly couldn't find a ton of information on Larry Yates and this whole situation.
Horrible.
But the police said when they showed up, the whole haunted house, fake blood, prop situation, they were like, what is real here and what is fake?
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine that?
They couldn't figure out the fake blood from
they were just
real blood?
they were kind of like, okay, we're trying to look for clues and take fingerprints and So can you imagine it being a policeman?
And which haunted house was that at?
That was called the Prison Macabre. It wasn't open too long.
All right.
And sadly, that murder was never solved.
Okay.
So that was incident number one. And then this is where we come back to the catacombs. If you remember the catacombs haunted house, there was a horrific accident there in 2005 that ultimately did cause it to be shut down. The catacombs haunted house in Kansas City, not a Full Moon production. So this was a different family that owned this. So Dennis Kingsolver is his name, and he was one of the founders of the catacombs. and he was killed in a freak accident. According to a police report, King Solver and another man were trying to cut an elevator cable in the building near the second floor. And there were 7 stories in this building. So they're working on the elevator cable near the second floor. And as they were working, the cable snapped
Oh my
and
gosh.
it hit King Solver, who was standing on top of the elevator car, like in the elevator shaft. And when the cable snapped, the counterweight hit him and knocked him off his balance.
And he fell
Yeah.
7 floors?
Yeah. Well, the coworker tried to grab him, but the cable hit him again. It was swinging. What a terrible scene, and it knocked him
Oh,
off.
that
And
is very freak accident.
they said he fell about 10 feet and that he either died when the cable hit him or from the fall.
Oh, okay, so he fell 10 feet.
Yeah, he didn't fall super
So
far,
okay.
but I think it was a combination. King Solver, whose family had founded and operated,
Oh.
I know, to have this terrible incident happen, and he had been there working as a teenager, and yeah, just so sad, and he was only 38.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. He was a father of 5, and he was best known as one of Kansas City's haunted house icons. So if you had anything to do with the haunted house area back in the 90s and early 2000s, you would have known
About this guy.
Dennis. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is kind of an interesting story. And Mindy and I were just talking about this before, but his enthusiasm for Halloween showed even when he was little. At the age of 10, he would transform his mom's basement into a haunted house, and he would hang blankets to make like different rooms.
Oh, to separate them?
Yes, and so he'd be like, "Come into this room," and they'd have something scary in there, and some that come into this room, and his father said he put cardboard over the stairs, and
Yes.
yeah, and I'm like, the Edge of Hell, they have a, what do I wanna say? What's the word I'm looking for?
Slide?
Well, the slide, but they have inspired
Yes.
so many
Slides.
the slide, and that's a scary, we
Slide
gotta
is
have
a
a
part of
slide.
it. Yeah.
And his mom, Shirley, said that he would charge 25, 50 cents, and that through the course of the Halloween season, he would make a lot of money.
Yeah. Wow.
So he was an early haunted house entrepreneur.
Mm.
And in 1981, when he was 13, he encouraged his family to buy and open this first, this commercial haunted house called the Catacombs down on Main Street. And I didn't know this. I thought Catacombs always operated down there in the West Bottoms, but I guess it eventually moved to an old castle building in Independence.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's now currently closed. Many patrons of King Solver's haunts remember his trademark graveyards and the worker who chased them out an exit with a fake
Oh
chainsaw.
my God.
Remember him?
No.
So I'm guessing, I don't know if he's the same one that the Edge of Hell had.
That is terrifying.
But there was a man at the end of the Edge of Hell who would have a chainsaw. And as you tried to walk and leave the building, he'd run at you. Now there
Oh
wasn't.
my gosh, I don't remember.
Oh, it was so terrifying. I remember like they would push you like out the door, like, go, you gotta go. Like,
So they touched you?
well, they didn't push you, but they'd be like, you have to go, like, this is the exit.
And you're like, no, I don't want to go.
No. And I remember the guy was like, there's not a chain on it. Like, and he's not gonna get that close to you. Just run.
He had to tell
The guy,
about a
yes,
billion girls
how many
that
times
night.
that night. And I don't know if Dennis was the chainsaw guy at Edge of Hell too, but he did that at Catacombs.
Okay.
So yeah. This sad incident, of course, so sad, and sad for both Larry and Dennis and their families. You figure though, about a 50-year span, and if those are really for the most part, those are the only 2 death incidents. Now, I'm sure other things have happened, but I'm like 50 years and 2 incidents that are out there.
But nobody ever died going through them. Like no one ever really got chainsawed. Like
Definitely.
No one really died going through them.
It may have happened, like somebody could have had a heart attack going through or something, but I didn't read anything about that. And I Googled a lot on haunted houses in Kansas City, and nothing came up like that. Now,
but you also don't see in those lines a lot of older people. It's kids.
Sure.
It mostly is kids, right?
We're talking about teenagers through like 30s.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah.
Because the last time I went to a haunted house, I was 18, 19.
Yeah.
I haven't been as an adult.
You got your fix and you were good.
Yeah. How about you?
No, I just went, I want to say, I know I can remember one time going down there, but I probably went a couple times. But I haven't been to a haunted house in forever.
As far as we know, nobody's died, like, just going through a haunted they could have heart attacks, whatnot, but, for the most part, you don't hear a lot of bad things
No. I've
happening
never heard of anything bad
bad.
happening. No.
Yeah, so that's good. That says a lot about the safety and, that kinda thing down there too. But this is okay, here I found something that's interesting.
Okay.
Not everyone, though, it sounds like, agrees that the haunted houses should stay forever in the West Bottoms. And here's what I mean about that. So, it's hard because you want areas to develop and you want areas to prosper and grow,
Mhm.
but sometimes that brings in things that want to push other things out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes traditions and things that have been there a long time. It's kind of like when you have box stores come in and they shut mom and pop businesses down.
Yes.
So, as we want the West Bottoms to be revitalized and we want there to be shops and we want there to be destinations and things for people to go see, there's art collections down there. There are a lot of new developers trying to come in to put in new residential buildings and storefronts and green spaces. And now that's good, but
Uh-huh.
it does change the layout.
Yeah.
And it does, again, does that leave room for the things that are there, right? Does that leave room for the haunted houses? Does that leave room for other things that have been there and that embed the cultural traditions of the West Bottoms? Have you ever been to the First Friday weekends?
Yes.
Down in that
Mhm.
area. So
One time.
they do those kind of things, which are awesome. They have something called Boulevardia down there. And so, but there are some land developers that said, we want to transform the West Bottoms into more residential and commercial spaces. And we want or argue for more consistent year round activity.
Consistent
Year round.
year-round. Well,
How would you interpret that
I don't think
statement?
they could stand the fact that they only have to work a couple months and they're off the rest of the year. I would call that jealousy.
Yes. And I don't know if they're implying, okay, your buildings get used 2 months a year and they sit here empty
Right.
the other 10. And that's not a good use of the space. But
But are they paying rent to someone
exactly.
for it?
And who's to say that that doesn't bring as much value
Yeah.
as a apartment building or something else could? I'm just, it's all subjective. And of course, it's always about making money,
Yes.
which is sad. Because a lot of times they don't think about the historical aspects.
And the fact that it's kind of precious to us being a haunted house area.
Yes,
That's what it is to us.
and we have good memories associated there. I also think, like, our dad had good memories associated there as a kid living on a farm and going, and so, it would be sad for it to be created into something that doesn't even still hold any of the West Bottom nostalgia.
Right.
You
At all.
know, and if you go down there and you're like, wow, okay, this is just all modern and new.
Well, my thing is if you put a business in down, you're risking it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
'Cause flood of 93, what did that do to
Oh,
that area, I wonder?
well, I think, well, that's a good question because that was at the beginning kind of a
Yeah.
resurgence. So I don't know if by that time maybe they put in better storm drainage systems.
Yeah.
And it didn't flood. That's a good question. They were able to obviously get through it. Amber, who again is the current vice president of Full Moon Productions, she admits that the future is always kind of uncertain. They feel like sometimes, they're like, we don't want to go and we don't want to be pushed out, but you also don't know what the future holds.
Right.
So, for now, though, The Beast, The Edge of Hell, and Macabre Cinema stand as testaments to Kansas City's creativity, grit, and love of a good scare.
Yeah. And you know what? If you did have one of those buildings that did flood a little bit, it wouldn't be like the worst thing in the world. I mean, because it's a haunted house.
Right.
It's going to add to the flavor of fear.
Yeah, the paint's peeling. Who cares?
So
Who cares?
the roof's coming off. You know what?
There's not lead in the paint. Have we checked?
Asbestos.
Yeah.
There probably is a lot of that there, actually.
Oh, they probably had to go through all kinds of stuff with that.
Probably.
Now, we can't forget Rat Man. Now, you don't remember Rat Man.
I don't.
I cannot believe you don't remember him. So I hope there's some listeners out there right now. When I say Rat Man, you're going, Rat Man, because I can remember standing in line, waiting to go in the edge of hell, had my $20 in hand, excited, and here comes this guy with this pet rat on his shoulder. And if that wasn't bad enough, he's putting it in his mouth.
No, he's not.
Yes.
Did he eat it?
No,
he just dangled him in his mouth.
He would like set him in his mouth and like
put the rat into his mouth.
Yes, he would open his mouth and then he would let it like crawl in his mouth and then like crawl out. It was so gross.
So you think he practiced that at night?
Well, he did
at his house.
So here's what I found. The same guy, Harry Ratman Luetzow, I guess is how you say his name. Luetzow.
Mm-hmm.
He has been the Rat Man at the edge of hell for almost 30 years.
Wow.
So the guy that scared me with that.
It's the same guy. And he's still working. Right now, tonight, probably.
Maybe. Says his claim to fame, again, was putting a live rat in his mouth, and it scared the shit out of me.
How did it not bite him ever? Do you think he had used the same rat?
Yes.
It was like his pet rat?
Yes, 1,000%.
He trained it?
I think he had, I'd like to know how many personal rats he had of his own or has had over the last
For real?
Seriously. Well, rats can be really good pets.
They can?
I've known several people that have had pet rats.
What?
Mm-hmm. When I taught 6th grade, our science teacher, shout out to Carol, she had rats. I swear she had
plural
2 rats. She had them. They did they didn't do experiments, but you would feed one junk food and one healthy food. They did those kind of things, like not inhumane. It was like actual. And then she gave them away. I think they were named Ren and Stimpy.
Oh my God.
And I don't remember who, but a kid they got to, if they wanted them, they had to get a permission slip signed by a parent. And they got their name put in a drawing.
To win a rat?
To win the rats.
Wow.
They wanted to keep them together, though.
So they were good.
They are good pets.
Huh.
Anyways, side note there.
And they eat all the critters.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure, like all bugs.
All the bugs. Here's what's great, too. Ratman met his wife at the edge of hell. She was playing the bride from hell.
Oh my God.
So that's a match made in, well, hell. Oh. That's a match made in the edge of hell.
It really was.
So I think that's awesome.
Match made in hell.
So from floods and economic collapse to rebirth and excitement, the West Bottoms has kind of seen everything. So haunted houses that came up from the ruins to scare people. It didn't just create a scary haunted house, something that is fun for us to attend, Halloween time, but it really did kind of save the West Bottom.
Well, you have to wonder what would have become of those buildings eventually. Would they have just torn them down?
Would they have torn them down? Would, again, any sign of the history of the West Bottoms be completely gone now? Because, residential and stuff came in and put things up. So
imagine if you lived down there by that haunted house.
Oh my.
That would be so interesting.
You'd
be like, I don't really know if that's a for real person screaming, like dying, or if that's just the haunted house up the street.
All night long.
Because it could be either.
It could. Just hearing the screams and the cussing, I'm sure. I'm one of those, when I get scared, I tend to cuss a little.
Yeah, me too. It calms me for some reason.
It does. But it did kind of, they came in and kind of saved a neighborhood and, of course, have created decades of fun for us. And nearly 50 years, every fall, Kansas City has proven that it is kind of the capital of haunted houses and continues to own kind of Halloween. You know? And I love that. Kind of makes me want to go to a haunted house again if I didn't think like the next day my back would be out.
Oh my goodness gracious. I would definitely seizure out. I would, my ears would be ringing.
My neck.
My body would be just hurting from standing in line in general.
Before you've even gotten
Before you even get in there.
And then once I'm in there, the first person who tried to scare me, my neck would get yanked up.
Oh my God.
Where's the exit?
I feel like I'm seriously not okay. Like, how do I seriously get out?
So you had your story of Regina punching, was it a clown?
I think it was a clown. Somebody just came up to her and
went,
in her face, and she punched him and we got kicked out.
Oh no. Me and Casey and Ann and Holly, a bunch of us went, and I was the back person, which is never good. When you're
no, you want to be in the middle.
I know, and I had a hold of Casey's belt loop so tight, like no one can pry me off of these, and I ripped them right off her cheek.
Right.
she took off running and I wasn't letting go.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just ripped your belt loop. So,
oh no.
good old haunted houses. But anyways, next time you feel a need to get some excitement, head down there underneath the 12th Street Bridge
Yes.
to the edge of hell or the beast. And remember, the ghosts of Kansas City haunted past might be closer than you think.
It might be.
I'm Megan.
And I'm Mindy, and this has been Missouri Mayhem, Mystery and Murder. Thank you so much for listening today. Enjoy your Halloween week.
We hope you've loved this Halloween special episode, and maybe it's taken you back a few years. Stay curious, stay kind, and stay safe out there. Missouri, you bring the mystery.
And we'll bring the mayhem.
Peace out.